Good evening, everybody. Oh, we lost AJ there for a second. Let me bring her back in. Thank you for joining us on the Political Deep Dive. I am Dave Valente, joined as always by Dan the Man Fishman.
What is up, Liberty lovers, political deep dive lovers?
That's
right. Like cheese pizza.
Welcome. And from her new digs in Colorado, AJ. How are you doing, AJ?
Well, I'm breathing easier, metaphorically and physically. Colorado's great.
Awesome.
We really like it. And I'm so excited to be here tonight.
Yeah, awesome. And joining us tonight from the U.S. Pirate Party, fresh off of his re-election as captain of the U.S. Pirate Party, Drew Bingaman. How you doing, Drew?
I'm doing pretty awesome. Yeah, we got some good stuff happening with the Pirates.
This
year. So
you do. So tell me how you got involved with the Pirate Party.
Well, I think it started probably when the LP firstly of Pennsylvania was brutally axe murdered a couple of years ago. And so that that made me when it was pretty clear that I was no longer welcome there. It was I needed to find a new home, and honestly, a couple of friends of mine mentioned the Pirate Party here and there, and I was looking for a new place to go, and I decided that this is where I belong. That
awesome.
I'm a pirate. I've been a pirate, and yeah. So
Pirates are awesome. I've been watching you guys for the last couple of years. I thought one of the greatest moves was immediately during the Reno convention for the Libertarian Party in 2022. The Pirate Party put out a platform stance of we find bigotry is irrational and repugnant.
That was not my brainchild. That was, I think that was, if I recall correctly, I think that might have been our Chicago pirate that came up with that. But I could be wrong. Yeah, that was pretty brilliant. I appreciated that. I did not appreciate the LP deleting that. Yeah, it's just I don't regret it. I don't regret leaving the LP. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, I mean our political ex-wife, I guess, is how I put it. So
just another divorce to put on my list of divorces.
So talk about what's going on with the Pirate Party. You just got reelected as captain.
Yep, we had
One of the things I do love about the Pirate Party is that it leans into the seafaring roles of the pirates.
Yep.
I know a lot of people like to, you shouldn't play into that. You should be a serious political party, but why?
So because all politics is theater, right? So why not have a little bit more fun with it? I was never in the stuffed shirt crowd in the LP. So I was always the kind of think we should have fun with this. We should, we should make fun when ridicule is due. And I think honestly, comedy and having fun it makes us more attractive. Like, I mean, I could go out there and rep the party, the core values in a standard stuffed shirt and a tie and everything, and do it the normal way, but what that doesn't differentiate us at all. I mean, we don't have sticks up our asses, so we're definitely.
And
That's a good T-shirt.
well, the other thing about it though is that if people have a little conversation about why it is the pirate party, the way pirate ships used to operate, and the things that they're taking from that, it really is a great societal meshing of everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was in it together on a pirate ship.
Yep.
And that conversation is one that I really think fires the imagination. It's one of the things that I love about the pirate party, because people think they know stuff about pirates. Really, they don't.
No.
About how the pirate ship used to work and stuff like that. Now, obviously, you can carry things a little too far, but it's a great place to start a conversation. And that's what politics should be. People starting conversations.
Yeah. So we embrace both classic pirates of the sea and modern pirates of the internet. So we combine both of those things together, take kind of the best parts of all of that and kind of put it together. And then, yeah, we have fun with our names. Like, I'm captain. We have vice captain. Sometimes we call them XO. We have a quartermaster who is our treasurer. We have a scribe who is our secretary. And things, so yeah, we definitely lean into it.
That's awesome. And really, when you think about it, when you look at American politics and really worldwide politics right now, what is serious about American politics? What is serious about worldwide politics? The quote unquote stuffed shirt crowd sure been giving us joke candidates for decades. And but the joke is on us. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
We have not had really good candidates. And the whole lesser of two evils crap and all that. But it's nice to see people advocating for things that help people, that are more focused on people rather than the few connected. So,
Yeah,
talk about the
individuals over institutions. That's
right.
really the core. That's one of the core one of our core values. And I don't know that I could put it more succinctly. We are for people, not not the mega corporations, not we're pro labor. We're we're pro. Oh, sorry, my cat is doing silly things. But yeah, I mean, it is. It's really all about helping people, finding things, finding policies that actually help people, not just say they're going to help people. Yeah, that's.
Well,
I mean,
you mentioned internet piracy, and Pirate Party was born out of people don't know, the Pirate Bay, the internet website that really was kind of for us old heads on the internet, a place where you get pretty much anything that you wanted. I mean, it was not like, it wasn't quite
Anything digital.
Yeah, anything digital. It wasn't like the
It wasn't Silk
Ross
Road.
Ulbricht and
Right, exactly.
The Silk Road and stuff. But it was anything that was digital, you could get access
And I would
to it.
tell people that it still is to some extent.
Yeah.
The spirit lives on. The Pirate Bay itself, there are a
Mirror
lot of
sites
efforts
all
and a
over the
lot of
place.
powerful people trying to shut it down. But
Yeah.
there are still servers that are up. There are places to go. The other day, I wanted to get the entire Battlestar Galactica. So I did.
Nice.
Thank you, Internet.
Yeah. So his name was Rick Falving. Is that his?
yeah, I'm not sure exactly how he.
You're talking about Swarmwise?
Yeah.
Well,
Swarmwise.
I mean, yeah, he also founded the Pirate Party in Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the Swarmwise, the things that he's come up with, very revolutionary ideas when it comes to politics and how to
Well,
run a
and
party.
let's talk about the success, right? The Pirate Party in Sweden went from 0 to 2 members elected to the European Parliament in 2 years. Okay,
Yeah.
Swarmwise works as a way to engage people, and anybody, whoever you are, should read the Swarmwise Manifesto. It's out there. It's easy to find. It's free,
Yep.
and it really is a good way to get people motivated if your cause is just.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's I mean the basics of it is you're essentially crowdsourcing a political party. That's, in a nutshell, that's more or less what it is. So, and how to take care of that as a leader, how to manage that. And yeah, so the Swarmwise stuff is really good. Talking about piracy, I think a lot of us, we think there is a massive need for copyright reform. And if you've been paying attention at all in the last couple of months, especially, I think it hits home a lot more than it had in the last couple of years with, the big studios taking stuff offline that now
Yeah.
you can't get anywhere. There's nowhere you can't, there was never a physical release. Now it's not streaming. So you can't even sign up for a month of Netflix to watch whatever. Because it's off, or Paramount Plus has done the same thing. Disney's done it. Max has done it hugely with a bunch of stuff for tax break reasons. Not even anything that makes any sense other than
Well, it's
keep the
especially crazy
taxes.
because Max / HBO bought a lot of stuff that wasn't theirs
Yep.
originally and then took it away from everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there used to be these great Comedy Central clips that were out there, and Max has taken them all away. There's I mean, this is a good example of like the crazy shit. No Anthony Bourdain's No Reservations, which is this wonderful show. Now HBO knows it. Or HBO owns it rather. And there's this great clip of when he goes to Austin and eats, inarguably the best barbecue in the world at Franklin's Barbecue. I say that just to crank people up, but it is the best barbecue in the world. That used to be this great public clip that people shared around, stuff like that. It's in the public domain for 10 years, and then HBO turns it off. It's just insane.
Yep, and the
Yeah.
same thing's been happening in the video game industry too. Video games getting taken offline. So your digital licenses that you've had, your Steam or Epic Games licenses or whatever, as soon as they're offline, they turn the servers off. It's gone. It doesn't work. It doesn't work anymore. And there's been very little movement, even from even when there's a backlash on that stuff, to give another option for people to play the games that they've owned. And we've kind of come up with a little bit of a catchphrase, which is, if purchasing isn't ownership, then piracy isn't theft.
Well,
if I purchase a
Yeah, that makes
license,
sense.
if I purchase a perpetual license for a digital thing, and that can be revoked at any time by the licensee or by the owner, I can, why
so
am I paying you?
yeah, I'll go into that a little bit. So I've been an anti-IP guy for a long time, and way back in the day, digital piracy was never theft. If I steal something from you, you don't have it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what happens in quote unquote digital piracy, in file sharing.
Mm-hmm.
You can argue that it's a copyright violation or other things, but 100% it is not theft. And so people need to get that part of it understood. The other thing about it is that if there is a question about how people can watch, consume media, clearly I can go to a baseball game and write about what happened there, right? Even though the Major League Baseball will tell you something, I can take pictures from my seat and use them. That is fair use. Now, there is talk that they want to take that away. But the question becomes, did my rights to relate what happened changed because technology got better? And I very much respect copyright in terms of the right of an artist. You know, an artist has a right to make a living. However, the idea that copyright is forever, I mean, and, you know, I guess Steamboat Willie just finally came into the public domain, right? After forever. And there was something else that was similarly old I was just looking at. I don't remember what it was. But this idea that there's a way for corporations to change what should come to the public eventually, that really is a threat to everybody's liberty. Because knowledge, the idea that it's illegal to know something or illegal to consume knowledge in any place. Thank you, Dr. Moulton, for posting that Mickey there. The idea that it's illegal to consume knowledge, to save it, to share it. That's a very dangerous idea.
I think.
If the Pirate Party champions that cause, I'm really excited about them doing that.
Yeah, I think some of the other things that you know, to champion like what I consider fair use is a lot of the stuff that has been pushed in the courts, especially lately, where things are actually, you know, derivative works. I don't think there's, you know, look, especially in music is all built on earlier works. You know, it's almost there's very few things that are completely novel. So like, and I think that goes a lot with storytelling. Everything that's storytelling, there's very few things that are completely novel. Like, I mean, come on, the hero's journey. That's like how many thousands of tales are essentially the same story, just with minor details changed. So I have this problem with you know, stuff that, like, especially like when you get into like fan fiction and stuff. Anytime somebody's trying to shut down the creativity of other people through the use of copyright infringement lawsuits, I think is bad for society.
Yeah.
I mean, think of, I mean, how many stories are based off of Pride and Prejudice? 50 Shades of Grey was actually a fan fiction off of the Twilight series. My wife was reading it as it was being written on servers. Like, it blows my mind that we're, you know, and we're not just talking digital stuff. I mean, we can talk about drugs as well, like the forever patents on things like insulin and things like that. It's just,
oh yeah, patents are a whole other thing. Like patents in my estimation, I don't think patents should exist at all.
Yeah, medical patents are murder.
I think almost all patents are terrible. I don't think patents like help anybody.
I agree.
Because maybe originally, like in way back, patents could actually protect an inventor, but they don't do that anymore. They just get snatched up by trolls, and there's a
weaponized.
Patents are used as government enforced barriers to entry. So it's essentially somebody says, "Oh, I want to have a patent," and I'll tell you, you know, I'm starting a company, and the lawyer's like, the very first thing you have to do is to make sure that you own the patent. He's like, and you probably won't have to do anything with it because your idea is so good that you just do a little bit, and a big company's going to buy you because they're going to want your patent. Now, as soon as I get my $100 million, I'm going to fight that as hard as I can. But it is one of those crazy things. And it really does come down to this basic idea. Can I observe the universe and then try to emulate it? Because that's really what we're talking about. Now, I do think, you know, and I think most people would talk about it and say, it is not okay for me to say that I wrote Blackbird. Paul McCartney wrote Blackbird. It's a beautiful song. Paul's really old. I say Blackbird because it's supposed to come out of copyright next year. In that situation, what should happen? Paul's still alive. I don't think that there's any issue with another artist re-recording it anymore. Nobody should be able to perform it and say, I am Paul McCartney and I wrote Blackbird, unless they're actually Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
But that's about as far as I'm willing to go with copyright. Other than that,
Yeah.
it's been the 50 years, and we should be good to go.
I think
Or-
I think 50 years is even way too much, honestly,
Oh yeah.
for basic copyright. I mean, I think it should be a whole lot shorter. Um,
yeah, I don't disagree.
I mean, there is the side that that we want to appreciate artists and inventors and people that are innovators, but at the same time, the system has become so full of garbage that that patents are nothing but patent trolls anymore.
Yeah.
And even like what was the I think that might be, I'm not sure who that is. That might be Ben that said that a lot of engineers have to sign away when they sign on with a company that if they get any patents, they're owned by the company.
Yeah.
I mean, and this goes back to being pro labor. As far as I'm concerned, even though I hate patents, if you personally invent something, you should be the one that holds the patent.
Can I talk about my patent?
Yeah, sure.
So people can look it up. I am listed as the inventor on the patent for syncing contacts and calendar events between your mobile device and the internet. I did actually invent that. I worked for Palm. We did it before anybody else. That patent is bullshit. It's such bullshit. And I say that as being listed as the inventor because the idea is so obvious, right? As soon as you have a mobile phone, who doesn't start thinking, well, it'd be really nice if I could keep some phone numbers on it, and then I could keep them in sync with the internet.
Mm-hmm.
It's a crazy thing.
Well,
go ahead.
Just another reason why patents are so flawed, because so many are overly broad or simple or
just
basic ideas.
To my company's credit at the time, I was working for a company called Palm. The old people will remember Palm Pilot.
Yeah, I remember those.
And Palm came around to us, to the engineers, and they said, we want to think of everything that we've done that's patentable, that's new. And a lot of us, even then, this is 2000. A lot of us were very strongly anti-IP then. We started this group in Boston called Defective by Design, complaining about electronic equipment that was designed to break after 3 years or something like that.
The original planned obsolescence.
Exactly right. And so we said to Palm, we're like, we'll give you these ideas, but we don't want to see people shut out. We want these to be defensive patents only. Whether they honored our request or they just went out of business, which is also what happened, Palm never did try to shut that down. And actually, the way I found out that we got that patent was 10 years after the patent was filed. A friend of mine said, hey, Dan, I saw your patent was finally cleared. I'm like, what are you talking about? The patent had been fought for 10 years. Microsoft, Facebook, Apple had all fought against that patent being granted.
Wow.
Finally, in 2010, it was granted, and then Palm immediately did not renew it so that it went into the public domain. But it was funny because at Palm, we got sued. Palm had this method of handwriting that
I remember that.
I will say that we invented called graffiti. So you could write on your Palm Pilot in a certain style of writing. See, I see the old school geeks nodding along there. And Xerox sued us for that because they're like, no, we invented the first handwriting recognition algorithm on a digital screen. And we actually had to go to court. We had to stop.
It was a shorthand, though. It wasn't handwriting.
Exactly. And so what made the difference was that our system had, you wrote letters on the left and you wrote numbers on the right. And the judge said, well, so Xerox, your system was all in one space. They've got two different spaces, not a patent violation. Go Palm. So that was awesome. And then we all went out of business. But the fundamental point in line is that good people have to get patents to defend themselves against patent trolls who might say, oh, I invented this thing after you invented it. Now you can't use it anymore. As opposed to the bad people who are going out there and making patents like the college football playoff system, right? Somebody got a patent on that so that nobody else could try to do it. Which, of course, I mean, at the end, the patent was no, but it's so stupid. The patent system is dumb. So I'm very excited for the Pirate Party and the fact that they keep talking about this, because a lot of people don't talk about it. And a lot of people don't recognize the issue.
Yep.
Here's my thing. We're about to have the presidential candidate on, right? Is this something that we're going to be talking about on the presidential campaign?
Ours?
Yes.
Oh, well, I mean, we can talk about that. Absolutely. He's not going to be with us tonight, but
Vermin's not on tonight.
no,
okay.
he's elsewhere, I guess. He's
Gotcha.
elsewhere engaged tonight. But yeah, we endorsed Vermin Supreme, and we are actively working together to promote each other. So,
yeah,
yeah.
That's good. Full disclosure, Vermin is a former neighbor of mine. We live next door to each other in Massachusetts, and I'll tell my one small little Vermin story. So we're at the 2016 Libertarian Convention, and I'm not planning on being there in any formal capacity or anything, but I end up at some of the parties. I'm at one party and Vermin's there. Vermin passes me a joint, and I'm like, I don't smoke a lot, but I'll take a little hit for Vermin's joint.
When at a political convention.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
2 hours later, I'm sitting there at the same place where I was with a friend who's like, yeah, Dan, you were gone. So we just hung out here for 2 hours. I'm like, all right. I support Vermin Supreme in anything that he wants to do.
That's right. Vermin, I love Vermin. Actually, I met Vermin the first time in 2016 at that convention too. So
me too.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite pictures that I have from that convention is of me, I think, photobombing Vermin and a couple other guys when so.
I met him at the convention. I got my picture with him. It was like the highlight of the convention for me. I mean, I loved going to the convention, but seeing Vermin Supreme there, I was like, oh my god, the star power of Vermin really really shines. And he's just as nice as can be. Because you go to a convention.
I got to step away for
kind of
just 1 sec, guys. I'll be back.
All right, sure. But you step away. You go into a convention as a celebrity. People just swarm you, and he was kind enough to just sit there and talk to people and take pictures and all that good stuff. And he wasn't even really running for anything at that point. He was just coming to check us out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was the year that I was there for John McAfee. So that was kind of, I kind of was going down the same, it was going down the same rabbit hole as far as, being on the tech side of things and, looking for somebody that's from that side of things to really promote those things within the Libertarian Party at the time. And I went down for John, and I met him down there, and that was an amazing experience too. His party was wild.
Oh my
God. Party was wild. And then of course I met Dr. Feldman when he revived me because I had a little too much to drink at the debate. That was.
I remember that. I mean, he had just dropped that entire rap at the end of it. I'm the libertarian, and he just as soon as people are just erupting, and he just takes off. And we had heard that you had some medical complications. We're like, oh shit! And he just dropped everything.
Yeah, I was just drunk. I was just blasted. It was ridiculous.
It's convention, so
yeah. Don't play stupid drinking games during a presidential debate because you'll lose. You'll lose. And I did, and I felt like hell the next morning, but it was.
Mine was the next
part
night.
Of the fun.
I drank like a full bottle of Evan Williams, I think.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was not a good morning. It was definitely not a good morning.
I got heartburn on your behalf.
Yeah.
Just at the mention.
Yeah, that was not a the whole convention up until that point was great. I mean, met Draco Malfoy and just a bunch of different people. It was so weird. And then the John McAfee party was absolutely insane because there were, people on stilts. There was French
Mm-hmm.
fry guy. There was Jesus was there. I mean, it was just
So that's
the most wild party.
It was. It was one of those parties that it almost seemed like it was out of a sci-fi movie. It was
Yeah,
just one of those, like, it was like, wow, these parties like this really exist. This is awesome.
I know. And so I went in there and I was completely sober at that point and walked around and I walked out of there. I was like, I feel drunk.
It was a pretty surreal place. It was a pretty surreal place. And I think that was like in the room right next to where the debate was, or like 2 doors
Yes.
over or something like
Yeah,
that.
it was
Yeah.
the next ballroom over.
So I think I stumbled out of the McAfee party into a seat at the back of the room for the
The debate.
presidential debate, and then
Oh,
that's when a guy that I didn't know and I still don't remember his name sat down next to me, and then he pulled out a big old handle of something in a plastic bottle. I think it was whiskey, and then we played a dumb drinking game, and it basically turned into every time Gary Johnson opened his mouth, we drank.
nice.
So yeah, and so by the end of it, I was gone. I was done. I was,
Yeah.
but
So let's talk about Vermin's candidacy. How did that come about? How did
I mean, I know some of the people that work on that worked or
I do
are
too. I see one
working.
in here.
Yeah, Desiree, I think, is in here.
Des. Yeah, Des is in
Um,
here.
and actually, as a matter of fact, that was the night I met Desiree. Was at that at that
Nice.
at that the debate when I passed out, like right next to her. Sorry about that, Des. Um, anyways, yeah. So we were talking. I mean, people knew that I had come over with the pirates, and we'd been talking a little bit, and there were people that had asked how do we become a candidate for the pirate party, and basically I was like, well, you just come to us, and
Yeah.
so we had our convention, which was the first one that we've had in person in a very long time.
That's awesome.
It was mostly online, but we did have some of us together. Um, so and Vermin crashed it, and he stole it, because our theme was steal this conference. A little nod to Abby Hoffman there.
Nice.
Because we're pirates and we steal shit. That's what. So we stole that idea too. And stealing ideas is a good thing, because most people aren't complete geniuses. Anyways, yeah. So they came to us, and we more or less held a vote, an open vote, actually, that people could vote for whoever our members could vote for whoever they wanted to for president, and Vermin
That's
came
awesome.
in pretty easily at the top. And I think honestly it was because he came and had a presentation for us and everything. And I think we're in a good place where we understand that the pirate party is still in a very early stage in getting things together, and that there's not really a huge expectation of ballot access. I mean, I'm sure that's probably something that you were going to ask at some point.
Sure.
Um, yeah, I mean, ballot access is not something that we're really there. I mean, we have six states organized right now, with probably 3 or 4 more to come in the next couple of months. Maybe a couple more as the fury goes across the internet of Vermin is with the pirates. So we've seen good publicity so far, just from the basic sharing it on social media and
Yeah.
getting that word out. So
That's the thing. Like, I think I don't get me wrong. I liked Joe. I mean, she was very personable. She was very nice to me. Um, uh, but I think had Vermin actually won the nomination in 2020, he would have gotten a lot more support as a candidate with 50 state ballot access. than Joe. I think because I've had normies come up to me, people who don't care a thing about the Libertarian Party. They say, "I love Vermin Supreme. I vote for Vermin Supreme." He was an option on my ballot.
Mhm.
Because first off, when he was running for president in 2020, he had that video about being in on the joke and understanding what he is doing and what he's demonstrating by his candidacy. Um, and if you get that normie objection, oh, he's a joke candidate, show him that, because it's a phenomenal video about what is
So
he
are
doing,
you in
why
on
is
the?
he doing it,
Why are you in
and
on the joke? Are you in on the joke? That
yeah, are
video?
you in on the
Yeah.
joke? And I'm in on the joke, and I think it's awesome, and I think he's a fantastic candidate. And when he's compared to an 81-year-old guy that's losing it, or a 78-year-old guy that is just a complete sleaze, and all the other stuff that's out there, he's head and shoulders above them.
Yeah. I look. I think first of all, if you've anybody that's ever actually talked with Vermin knows he has a brilliant political mind. Like he understands stuff that most people can't comprehend. Like that's why the whole "are you in on the joke" thing comes. I mean, because that that's why. I mean, a lot of people don't understand why they like Vermin because they don't necessarily think the whole thing through. Like, I like Vermin because Vermin's awesome. That's kind of where it ends with a lot of people. I love Vermin. Vermin does great stuff. But I've always appreciated Vermin because I get it. I get it. Um I get that this is performance art. Like, it's
Mhm.
performance art with a message. It's performance art with a message to make you think how terrible all of these jerks in Washington really are, and how much of a fraud they all are. You know, um, and honestly, I mean, I guess that's one thing about Trump is he's not as much of a fraud as a lot of these other stuffed shirts are, because he just doesn't care.
Well,
Like
he's a
he,
fraud. He's just
oh, he's
open. It's naked fraud.
it is.
Like,
It's
versus telling you what you want to hear and feel good about,
right.
the rosy political language. He's telling you he's a fraud and he's an asshole and he's
Hmm.
proud of being an asshole.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's probably the only thing that for me that I mean, I wouldn't say that I give him respect for, but it's something that it makes him a little bit different. But that's certainly not a reason to, good Lord, vomit on the machine while I cast a vote for him. Yeah, no, I won't be doing that. I will be writing in Vermin Supreme in my and voting pirate. That's
Yeah.
um so it's I think something something that pirates are awesome about too, and something that also is very topical is right to repair. Right, so um we
Yes.
are very big in trying to in again, this is another thing where, like, if you buy something, you don't own it. Like, I can't fix my stuff. Like, what are you talking about? um you know uh, so if somebody makes it hard or difficult, or makes me get a specialized tool only from them, as far as I'm concerned, that's monopolistic practices.
Yes.
And that's another thing that we see a lot from corporate America, and corporations from all around the world are pushing this garbage on us, that, like, oh, well, you have to be an authorized an authorized repair person, like, or you won't be able to do it. And
Or
I
you
think,
void your warranty or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, yep. Some of them, the one wheel, the little electric one wheel skateboard. I mean, if you've seen
Yeah.
those, they have a deal where, like, if you disconnect the battery, like, it can brick the whole thing. Like, and
Sounds like
that's
a
their,
Tesla.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, the Teslas are not great either for right to repair.
Yeah.
There's guys out there that have been fighting all of that. for quite some time, and yeah, it's not. It is. It's ridiculous. These things that we're asking for, or that we want, reforms for, are not even things that should even be.
I mean, this
I
is
don't feel like they should even be questioned. Like that this is naturally, yes. If I buy a copy of a record, I can play it. Like, you can't
yeah.
decide that you're going to pull the license from me. And the same thing
And
goes with
especially because that license generally doesn't go to the artist.
no.
It goes to
Mm,
the
court.
company that stole the license from
Yep.
the artist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. With all this, the copyright is full of exploitation. That's the thing. Copyright is very rarely actually helping, especially new artists. Most of the new artists are the ones that get screwed. If you're an established artist, you can, like an author who, like a Stephen King or oh my God, Game of Thrones.
George R.R. Martin.
George R.
Yeah.
Martin. Yeah, he can. Those guys. Once you're established, you can get your contracts that don't necessarily screw you. But until that point,
I mean, look at all of
you're getting
Motown.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Motown is probably the most egregious example of, these people were exploited, gave away all of their copyright and everything, and have to. I mean, they can't even record, go out on tour as the original artist because that's owned by Motown, owned by the corporation. So they can send out a whole different lineup of artists as the Four Tops or whatever. Legally say that they're the Four Tops, even though none of them are the original Four Tops.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
it's so perverse.
I mean, you talk about it. What if that actually was a band of 4 people, and they were tops? I mean, I'm not to talk about anything
No kink
particular,
shaming.
but exactly right. No kink shaming, but I think that would be a completely legitimate name for a band.
Sure.
It is the one nice thing that I thought might be coming with self-publishing and YouTube and all these things is that people would have an ability to get out there and make their stuff. And to some extent, that is happening. Okay. You can find artists who release their own material. I'm willing to bet that 3 of us are fans of Jonathan Colton. Jonathan Colton released his music and said, pay me whatever you think it's worth. Because he was lucky that he came from a position of having been a software engineer, that he had enough money that he didn't have to depend on his music to pay his bills.
Sure.
Well, so that actually reminds me that a lot of us that go back a ways, pre-internet days, was shareware.
Exactly.
Right? That was you were supposed to copy it and share it with people. Like that was the idea. Like so yeah, so getting into more of a modern thought process of, well, everything's piracy. If you copy it, it's piracy. Well, that's ridiculous. And like you said earlier, if I make a copy of something, I'm not taking it away from you. You still have it.
Exactly.
And honestly, and in my estimation, I don't think there's anything wrong with making yourself a personal copy of whatever. Where I think we get into the moral gray area is if you're like, if you're actually selling bootlegs, like, now not necessarily if like, people that sell bootlegs of like Fish concerts and stuff, that they actually set up the recorders and everything.
Oh yeah.
That to me is like, well, you went to the trouble of recording this. I don't care if you sell it, but taking a commercially recorded a commercial recording and then selling copies of it, or a commercial DVD or Blu-ray, and making and duplicating it for profit. Yeah, I don't think that's cool. But at the same time, I don't think you should be paying thousands upon thousands of dollars to Disney just because you made a copy of a DVD.
Yeah,
right. I agree.
Yeah,
I mean the idea of fair use has to be protected, and
it needs to be expanded. I
Yeah,
mean, like massively.
Oh yeah,
Right,
like
because-
we've shared something on this show before. Like it was like a Grammys or Emmys or something like that, and within probably an hour, I'm getting a DCMA takedown notice, because we dared share like it was like 30 seconds of a clip, and they lost their minds. Like,
yeah, Dave and I reenacted Chris Rock getting slapped by Will Smith, and they said it was too close to.
That's actually hilarious because during our live stream of our conference, when we were showing the Vermin video,
Yeah.
we actually got a
Wow,
copyright
that's
strike
hilarious.
on that, and it doesn't matter to us because we don't have it monetized. So
yeah,
It's
yeah,
insane.
that's
so I
crazy.
mean, yeah, we were showing with permission, the Vermin, and it might have been because of some of the background music. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I just think it's hilarious that part of our convention from the Pirate Party got a copyright strike, and we weren't even really trying. So
Right.
Yeah.
Google has a long way to Google and YouTube really are getting really bad with that. And I mean, and I understand the federal law. The federal law sucks. Like the DCMA sucks.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's terrible. It needs to be torn down. But yeah, I mean, I get it, but I think a lot of times it's overly sensitive.
Oh yeah. Well, I've noticed something like I'll be doom scrolling on like TikTok, and we can get into TikTok in a minute, but um, you know, you can hear these like they'll play actually full movie clips on TikTok, and what they do, because DCMA is looking for certain audio patterns to
Mhm.
match up, they're playing this certain piece of music that I think just masks it enough and covers it up enough that um it prevents the DCMA violations. It used to be that they would take it and they'd speed it up a little bit, so it didn't hear the same audio patterns, and they weren't able to identify it. Then they were able to kind of make the software recognize even sped up. So then they start doing these, this one piece of music. You'll hear it like 30 times if you doom scroll on TikTok for a while because they're just using it to hide from DCMA. Which
It's
is
the
interesting.
age-old battle.
It's a
Go ahead, Drew.
ridiculous arms race. It's a ridiculous arms race, right?
It's exactly what I was going to
What
say.
a waste! What a waste of resources.
Yes,
Like
absolutely.
seriously.
How much are we wasting on resources protecting patents, protecting copyrights, protecting like things that we could be improving? Like you're talking about the right to repair laws. I mean, how many people invented things in their garages or repairing an item and finding a different way and a better way to do it, or creating something that actually makes that product better. And all it does is just get caught up in copyright now, and patent violations and these patent trolls and all this stuff, and it's so frustrating to see how much productivity
How
we
much of a
lose
quagmire it is.
just to protect some corporation from losing a few ducats they don't even care about.
Or
Right.
that they never would have got in the first place.
Sure.
Right. And the interesting thing about the right to repair law is there is an interesting question there in terms of what do we think? If I wanted to make a car and make it so that I was, and encrypt everything in it, I ought to be able to do that part of it. That shouldn't stop you from being able to reverse engineer it, do whatever you want to. And who would want to friggin' buy a car from me if I was the only person who could work on it? That would be a tremendous liability.
Yeah.
But the problem is that, this is my favorite Adam Smith quote: two men of the same trade seldom meet, but the conversation ends in a conspiracy against the public. Right to repair is a problem because all the car manufacturers are in this sort of lockstep thing where they're conspiring against each other because the government protects other people from getting in and trying to compete with them.
Well, it's not just cars.
It's not just cars. Well,
No.
I was going to say, friend of the show, Thomas Queter, is in the process with the Mobility Independence Foundation using open source technology and interchangeable parts to revolutionize the wheelchair, electronic wheelchair. And there's a word that he uses that's better than wheelchair, but I can't remember what it is right now. But it's interesting to
I think it's like
see.
mobility platform or something like that.
So yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see some of the people who want to get involved in that. So Formula E, which is a division of Formula One, they're like, man, we know batteries, we know electric engines, we can probably contribute a lot of stuff to what you're doing. And then he says, oh, we're going to open source all the stuff that we do. They're like, oh, which is crazy because their technology is going to be obsolete in 3 years anyway, right?
Yeah.
Where batteries and stuff like that are going. They're missing. Well, they're not going to miss it. I'm convinced that Tom and the executive director there, Jay Lyons, are going to be able to convince these guys that they should do the right thing, because it's amazingly good publicity for them to say, look, we're doing this sport made for billionaires, but we're giving back of our technology to the people who can really use it.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, it would make a tremendous ad.
Right, exactly. The thing is, open source, that idea that what's going to be happening with, maker labs, the ability to create your own vehicles, stuff like that, that can come in our lifetimes if we can get the intellectual property owners out of the way, get them to end the system that is illegally enriching them.
Yeah, it's mostly the big guys. It's mostly the big guys.
Yeah.
And like, so the other thing, one of the other places that I've seen right to repair, very egregious right to repair thing is in farm tractors.
Yeah,
John Deere has John Deere has this software that you can't, So they try shenanigans with their end user license agreements. And
Agriculture on the whole has just a variety of issues when you talk about like Monsanto seeds.
Oh my God! Yeah.
I mean, good God, that is such an abuse.
Yeah, I don't think you should be able to patent a living thing, or get copyright on a living thing, or
or force people to
patents. That stuff is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the one other thing, yeah, exactly. I agree with USB. Gene patenting is so stupid. There's I completely forgot what I was going to say now. It'll come to me. There's so many stupid examples of people trying to claim something that is intellectual property, and it's crazy.
Oh, I mean, we're streaming on several of them that use this form of abuse to we tweak just a little bit of thing, now it's our property that we're going to be able to hold on for ever, and if another social media company uses a little tweak of this thing, then we'll be able to sue them into oblivion. How many times have Meta and Twitter gotten into some kind of battle? Of course, now they're both ganging up on TikTok, trying to get them out of the market.
That's ridiculous. I mean, the whole banning of TikTok. I mean, where are we living, for crying out loud? Like, is this really the United States of America? Like,
well,
the banning of TikTok. Like, how is that even? How did that even come across the mouths of the fascists that are in the freaking Congress? Like,
well, and
Gen Z made them look stupid.
Yeah, I mean that was
TikTok and made them look stupid.
Yeah, Gen Z is using it to get their message across from the away from traditional media sources. The first time that I heard of TikTok, that I really heard of the influence of TikTok, was 2020, June of 2020, when during the pandemic, Trump decides to hold a rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that is on the same day as the Tulsa race, the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa race.
Oh God, I forgot about that.
And people on TikTok said, "Here's the website. Go get all the tickets." And the event was so sparsely attended because all the tickets have been taken up by all these TikTokers who wanted to deny President Trump the glory of having this massive celebration. Of course, it still didn't help. I mean, like Herman Cain caught COVID at that event and died. So, like,
Mhm.
but that's where the Republicans came off of it. But Democrats also want to control it, and they're, every time you watch an ad here in the DC metro area, if you watch any of the news organizations, you're getting you're seeing lobbying commercials for Meta and these other organizations. They're begging for regulations because they know they're going to be in the room to write those regulations to be able to keep those other companies out of the marketplace. And TikTok, because they're a Chinese-owned company, honestly, I don't care if the Chinese have my data. Like, what are they going to do with it?
Everybody has my data.
I know. Like
that's
Zuckerberg
the
has my
thing.
data. I trust him far less than.
I don't. Yeah, I don't trust Elon. I don't trust Zuckerberg. I mean, these
Clarence
people are
Thomas.
all. Yeah, especially Clarence Thomas. I don't know.
Clarence.
He must have been.
Clarence.
Somebody dropped him on his head, and he's not right. He's just not right. Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, everybody's there. All of social media is doing all of this spying. I mean, what was the Cambridge Analytica stuff? That was all Facebook, right?
Yeah.
That was all Facebook. And like they were talking about it influencing an election. Like that wasn't TikTok. That was Facebook. That was mining Facebook.
And good God, don't go on Twix. I mean, that place is just an absolute cesspool of fake news and AI generated crap. Like, absolutely horrible.
I try to avoid it. I mean, I call all of it the toxic media anymore because it's all it is. I mean, I know a lot of people in my party like to use Twitter, but I honestly can't be on it for more than 5 minutes without coming away completely infuriated by something.
I use
just
it
can't.
for sports media. Like I love watching the sports guys that cover my teams, so I get early information. But yeah, when you get into the political side of it, it's just absolutely horrible.
Fediverse. Everybody should be in Mastodon, even if you're not really doing anything there. Set up a Mastodon server. In fact, Pirate Party.
Right.
Here's me imploring you guys to.
I think we're working on that actually.
All right. See,
I think we're working on that.
Yeah,
I saw something about that. I saw something about Mastodon. We were talking about that, and we were trying to. uspirates.org/join actually will get you to the page that will point you in all the directions to get on our Discord, to sign up with us, and to get you connected. Yeah,
magic of media.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say much good things about Threads, but Threads does have a link to the Fediverse, and they say they're going to do more. So I'm going to cautiously say, not that Facebook is doing a good thing because it's doing a good thing. They're doing a good thing because they want to kill Twitter. And in this case, if they kill Twitter by building up the Fediverse, that's the right model. I mean, we broke a lot of the internet. My generation has to apologize. Email was done wrong. Email should never have been me sending a mail to you. It should be me having a message on my server and sending you a notification the message is there, and then you come and retrieve it. So I could never spam anybody. All the spam would live on my computer, and you have to get that ship has sailed. I'm sorry. But it's not really my fault. But Mastodon is that model where all of my content lives on my Mastodon server, and then you get a chance to subscribe to it, and it shows up in your feed. So when Dave subscribes to my feed, the only alt-right content that he sees is the stuff that I write.
Exactly.
I gave it away.
Damn it.
No.
But that's the right model. It shouldn't be other people pushing stuff into my feed. It should be only the things that I want to do. And the Fediverse is such a unique model for that. I just have a lot of hope for it. And, it feels stupid to have that much hope, but anyway.
I mean, yeah, Cory Doctorow calls it the enshittification of the internet. Like that
Exactly.
now that we have basically four websites that basically just share stuff from the other four or from the other three websites. This is
Right.
essentially what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's hit some other issues. What's the kind of get an idea of what pirate foreign policy would look like?
Non-interventionist. I mean, we mind your own damn business. Like, yeah, I mean, I think there's a possibility that I mean, I don't know the scenarios necessarily if I were the president of the country and running things, but yeah, it would be. Oh, hey, look at that, my light went off. But let me see. Reach over here. There we
Yo,
There we go.
Vermin, what's up?
Hey, Vermin.
Hey, there he is. So yeah, I think. Oh yeah, what am I forgot. Pan Americanism. We're the USPP is big on that, and that's working together with the Americas as a continent. Actually, 2 continents, 3 continents. Is it 3? Central America is
2.
really a continent, right?
Yeah, Central is generally lumped in with the North American continent.
Yeah. So we want to have. We don't want to build a wall. Let's put it that way. That is not the in the walls are for forts, not for borders.
So. One of the fascinating things about this, and I love the idea of Pan Americanism. I've never heard people talk it before, but it should be apparent to most people that the 2 largest trading countries in the world are the United States and Canada, which is insane because I mean Canada is 84 people and 3 polar bears. So how can they have trade like that?
Teams.
Yeah, exactly. And hockey teams. We could have trade like that with Mexico. We just have to be a better partner with Mexico. We have to get over, I'm going to call it out, some latent racism in the United States that believes that Mexico is not supposed to be an equal partner with us. Get over that. Say we want Mexico to be an equal partner with us because a rising tide lifts all boats. If we can empower Mexico to achieve its potential, Mexico is a land with, tremendous resources, tremendous history, traditions of scholarship through the Aztecs and the Mayans. We talked about the fact I'm a calendaring guy, and so obviously the Mayans are really important to me. But Mexico could be such a wonderful partner for us if we would be willing to be a good partner with them, a good and equal partner with them. But that's not what we're doing. I would love to see some idea that we could create, and I'm not interested in the UNERO or the Unified North America or anything like that. I don't want to be in a country with Canada. I don't want to be in a country with Mexico. Frankly, I don't want to be in a country with Alabama. But
yeah, that's a good point.
But the union, the idea that we would work together, that's an amazing idea for foreign policy because that's it. Sarah, you've got it exactly right. There's a lot of bias against Mexico, and absolutely, it's definitely based on racism and skin color. And let's get past it because Mexico grew up in Texas.
And here's the dumb thing about all of this is that that they're focusing on the border, like this one land border that is massive that you're never going to be able to put a wall all the way across. And by the time you get completed the wall, you're going to have to start working on the first sections that you started putting up. But if you start working with the other countries and increasing trade and increasing life, the quality of life in those other countries, you're not going to have the level of immigration coming up because their countries are so destitute right now, and that is the choice to make a several 1,000-mile journey, whether it's all the way through Mexico or all the way through Central America and Mexico.
Yeah. Borders are 100% social constructs.
Yes.
But the other thing about it is that you have all these Americans saying, oh, we're afraid of socialism. We oppose socialism. Border control is among the most socialistic things that you can do. Socialism only means one thing. It doesn't mean a social safety net. Okay. There are places that are socialist countries that have social safety nets. Socialism has nothing to do with that because there are also capitalistic countries that have social safety nets.
Sweden.
Socialism means the government, aka the people, controlling the means of production. When the government directly interferes in the labor market by not allowing me to hire the people that I want to work for me, to assist me anywhere else, that is socialism. Okay, that is the government interfering in the labor market, the government controlling the means of production. If you think about it, when Trump says America first, America first, he is talking about interfering in the labor market to protect American workers. And although lots of us, I mean,
Well,
I would say most of
to
us
protect American
protect,
workers.
exactly, right, they took our
Yeah.
jobs to quote unquote protect American workers. But the iteration of that, where it is the government that does that interference and protecting it, that's socialism, flat and simple. And so people who want to say, "Oh, I support border control," and look, let's assume that we can have a very simplified border control. People come across, we might inspect them to see if they are actively bleeding, some medical examination, or if they're
They're wanted by
carrying
Interpol.
guns. Exactly.
This
Yeah.
But
I've been
go
saying
ahead.
for years, the problem with immigration and illegal immigration, it's the same reason why people pirate stuff, right?
Exactly.
It's the same
100%.
reason, because it's easier and you get better results for the most part by going the illegal route. Because it's the bar is so high, it's so hard to come here, it's so expensive to come here the
Yep.
right way, that if that we need the equivalent of Spotify for immigration.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what that would look like, but if people want to come here, they should be able to come here, and
Yeah.
it should be easy to do above board. It
Yep.
really shouldn't be that difficult.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the big frustrations I've had with libertarians over the last few years is the idea that you can't call yourself a libertarian and say I don't believe in your right to self-determination and your freedom of movement. Like that, those are two just bedrock principles, and the our political ex-wife has completely there are large numbers of the political
Ugh.
ex-wife that completely gave up the ghost on that one. So,
And it is the problem with it is that it's fear based. And it's
oh yeah,
sad to see people who are in favor of liberty buy into that idea of fear based politics, that I'm going to restrict somebody else's liberty because I am fearful.
Isn't that all bigotry, though?
it
It
is.
is. It is. It's bigotry. It's there is an element of, you know, I do believe that there are people who just think that the government is supposed to protect their jobs. They took our jobs. And
Well,
I'm
I
not going to
think
say that those people are all racist, but there is a lot of racism involved in it too. You never hear anybody complaining about, for example,
right,
where I
right.
lived until I moved to DC in Boston, there is a huge amount of illegal Irish and Russian workers, and nobody complains about it at all. In fact, if you want to staff up for the summer, that's what you do is you look for Irish and Russians who are coming in and want a job for 3 months, who are
Yeah.
absolutely willing to work under the table and don't need $15 an hour and all this other stuff. It's
But that's where we get into exploitation now, right? Where the illegal immigrants come here, and
yeah.
yes, while they may be doing better than they would be at home, they're still being exploited, because because we have, if it was all above board, they'd be getting a minimum wage, or they'd have their regular labor rights.
Well,
You
so that's
know,
an interesting question. Does the Pirate Party support a minimum wage?
I don't know that we've actually nailed that down. I know that the Pennsylvania Pirate Party supports a universal basic income.
Well, so UBI is different than minimum wage.
Right. No, I understand that.
Yeah.
I just don't know that we've actually hashed that out. Um, it
I mean,
would
I
probably be
definitely
an
am in the
interesting
Rothbard camp of get rid of all the social services and provide a UBI.
UBI. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's the right way to go.
I think because that takes away all the nanny and daddy tendencies of traditional
Exactly.
welfare, and
Yeah.
it just makes it fair and everybody gets it, and then so I the criticism I hear about that though is they say, well, then lazy people won't want to work. Well, people don't
Yeah,
want to work now.
exactly.
Why do you want people that don't want to work working in your business?
Right.
Like, those are the worst employees. The people
Yeah.
that don't want to be there are the worst employees.
Well,
So
and the flip side of that is that, there's this idea that people are opposed to the social welfare system. And they say, I don't want anybody to think they have a right to food or a right to health care or anything like that. And the way I was talking about on the campaign trail, they said, you know what? I don't think anybody has a right to health care because health care is provided by a healthcare provider. And you never have a right to somebody else's labor. However, I do believe that I have a duty to provide health care
see, that's
for
just it.
everybody
It's
in
the
my
mutual
system.
aid side of things.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's the mutual
Exactly.
aid side of things that we need to stop thinking so. And that was the one thing with the Libertarian Party that I always thought was irritating was the individualists that don't give a damn about anybody else. Like, as long
Right.
as I'm good, I can do this for myself, and I don't need anybody else. Just leave me alone. And for the most part, I'm okay with that. But that's not good for a society at large.
Well, I think
We need to
it
take care of
blew
each other.
up. It blew up into this now where people are saying, I want the government to protect my rights, but I don't give a crap about anybody else's
Mhm.
rights. Like it that's what it's morphed into within the Libertarian Party is that rights
Right.
for Americans, America first.
The
Right.
Only the
And
ones
argument
we
that
like.
I made was we could phone bank on behalf of trans people against the bathroom bill in Tennessee. And I couldn't convince 20 libertarians that this was a good idea. And they're like, why should I? And I'm like, this is the government doing something against a group of people. I kind of thought that we were
That's
against
what we
that no
do
matter
here.
who the people were, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a sad realization when so you can butt your head up against some of the anarcho-capitalists, or a lot of the type of people that are the rugged individualist types, that don't want anything to be interfered with their stuff, but you know they will make sure that if you're on their private property, they can shoot you in the face just because they want to. That sort of thing is just
there needs to be, I think, to a certain extent, a political realization that as much as we can advance our ideas and understanding how we can work together, how we can be volunteers together, the world is always going to be filled with assholes.
yeah.
And
Sure.
what do we want to do about that? Because we are the people who say, you know what? We're not going to use force to get rid of all the assholes either.
Yeah.
So there is, and this is going to be the strangest thing that I have ever said on the show. And that's something because I have laid down some crazy ass shit.
That's
But
true.
there is this model for how we can do this stuff. I'm looking to you, camera, on how we can do this stuff. As crazy it is, when somebody slaps you, the correct response is to turn the other cheek. You have to have a society that is based on that idea. You know what? If you offend me, I'm going to say, okay, you're an asshole. I'm not going to respond. I'm not going to fight back against you. I'm not going to strike back against you. And the difference between, the Libertarian Party, our political ex-wife, whatever we want to call it, has lost its way. But there is a fundamental idea in these liberty / freedom / parties, all of us, that compassion is something that has to happen and can't be forced. And when
Yeah.
we get that part going, when you get somebody like Vermin, who, brings the combination of the absurdist look at the world and active acts of kindness. Like I remember seeing Vermin march opposite the Nazis in Boston a few years ago and just sitting there, making fun of them, ridiculing them, that sort of thing, because that's what you're supposed to do with assholes. Okay? You're not supposed to shoot them unless they become dangerous, and physically assault you, anything like that. And that's where we have to be. We have to be stop being so concerned about these occasional assholes, the individualists, the people who don't give a shit about anybody except for themselves, because that's an indicative statement about them personally. We're not going to reach them because they don't give a shit about anybody except for themselves.
And that's
So,
I see that a lot when I see anytime I see somebody going on and bitching about wokeness.
Yeah.
Wokeness. I see anybody that you either don't know what that is and you just think
Yes.
everything that you hate is woke, or you know what it is and you're an asshole.
Yeah,
Because
that's
you
exactly it.
lack all compassion for other people. If you're
Yep.
bitching about wokeness, you don't understand. You just don't understand. And it just, to me, anytime I see somebody that's bitching about wokeness here or whatever, woke, it's all woke crap to me,
Right.
and now the DEI stuff, all anybody that's bitching about DEI, I see.
DEI is the CRT of 2024.
Right, yeah,
Right.
it is, yeah.
I
And
mean,
again, most people don't even have any idea what it is.
Right. And what's interesting about that too is that the this idea that woke is bad is so completely opposite to what liberty people were saying just 20 years ago. We want to wake everybody up about the Federal Reserve. We want to wake everybody up about the abuse of government power. The opposite of woke is asleep. And there are powers that want you to be asleep to the injustice and the inequity in the world. And here's
exactly.
the thing: woke means being aware of it. And the fact of the matter is that most liberty people are aware of the problems that are being discussed by woke. We might completely disagree with a green or a pirate or whoever on what the solution is, but being aware of the problem, being woke, who doesn't want to be woke? Who wants to be ignorant? And the thing is, there are people who want you to be ignorant. There are people who want you to be asleep to the shit that is going on in our country right now.
Absolutely.
Don't do it. Wake up, America.
Exactly. All right, Drew. One more issue. I know that
Yeah.
the Pirate Party is relatively pro-union.
Yes. Well, I mean, I would say we're pretty solidly pro union.
Okay.
Or I would say I like to call it pro labor, because we're not just pro union. I think we're also for not being exploited in any capacity. Any
Whether it's
workers being exploited, whether
by the company or the union.
yeah, either one. And
Yeah.
because both of them once they get sufficiently large, will both become corrupt, and exploit you.
I I challenge a lot of people when they talk about unionism and how it's bad in America and all that stuff, and even the people that say we should make everyone join a union, take away the right to work stuff. I get that, but if you look at places where they have the highest labor participation, unionism is voluntary. So in Sweden, union is voluntary, and you have competitive. Like, that's the thing that blows my mind, is that most, except for teachers, most of the unions are fairly monopolistic within their industries, and could do with competing union interests. One union may fight for more for this versus that, and I think that would give more incentive for people to join unions. I mean, I think teachers are probably one of the most unionized groups out there because there is choice.
Yeah, I'm very much I love the idea of having a competitive environment for unions. I
Okay.
think that, again, that's just another monopoly, right? Like
Yeah.
if
Yep.
you go into a job that's unionized in the United States, you don't have a choice, right, to join the
Exactly.
union or not. You don't have except in right to work states, which I think there's problems with that.
There is. Yeah.
You don't have a choice to not be part of the union. I think I think it would be stupid in most aspects to do this,
I have agree.
but
Me too.
get to be able to just opt out and say, well, yeah, okay, well, I'm going to negotiate my own contract.
Sure.
I mean,
That should be
But
your right. I mean, that's the thing.
to
I know.
answer Craig's question, Dave, you have been in a union, right?
Yes.
I was also a member of the
My
International
wife's
Meat
in a
Cutters
union now.
Guild when I worked at the Stop and Shop Deli in Falmouth, Massachusetts. I had to pay $10 every 2 weeks as union dues. And when I complained to my boss about that, I'm like, this is a summer job. He's like, well, if you don't pay your union dues, you don't get your 15-minute break every 4 hours. And I'm like, well, I'm handling meat cutting tools. I think that's actually a regulation, not a. But
yeah,
I am a person who actually, I love the idea of unions. A union actually is a corporation that sells labor. And like any corporation, I support, or any business, I support people getting as much as they can for the products that they sell. The only thing that I think most of us would agree upon is you can't engage in anti-competitive practices.
Yeah.
You can't erect barriers to entry. And we all know that sometimes unions do that. I was on a film set for an independent film. The Teamsters came and roughed us up. They're like, no, you can't do that shit. You guys can't film here. You have to have hire Teamsters to do it. That sort of stuff, that's no good.
or when you're trying to organize a meeting and you have to pay union labor to plug something into the wall.
Well, I'll give you a great example of that. Just right now, right at the LNC convention,
Yeah.
because
Oh
they
my
had
God.
8 hours of AV overtime, it cost them $70,000 extra because it was union labor, right? Crazy ass stuff, and that's where things are absolutely broken, right?
Mhm.
It used to be that the Libertarian Party would actually look for places to hold conventions that weren't union states because you could always find a cheaper vendor to come in and do some of the stuff for you. In DC, that wasn't an option because everything was
No.
locked in because it was all entirely union. That's where the thing breaks down. But the idea of a union as the people who are voluntarily working together to get the best possible wages that they can, there's nothing wrong with that. There could not be a more libertarian, a more capitalistic idea than a union.
And since we're on the topic of labor, I just want to throw this out there. Share your salary with your coworkers.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not
For
illegal.
crying out loud,
It is
please.
not illegal. No matter what they say to you,
Your
it is not
employer
illegal
is
to share your
trying
stuff.
to screw you.
Yep.
That's yes. Always share your salaries. Always,
Yep.
don't hide that stuff. It's not good for any of the employees. I don't care
Yeah.
what your employer says.
Exactly.
Share your salaries.
Yep.
I think that's good for a lot of things. I will say that when I ran for Congress, my salary became public because that's required in a congressional race. Ooh, that caused a huge problem at my company.
Uh-oh.
I mean, I was making a lot of money, right? I mean, I was making, not as much as a baseball player, but certainly professional athlete level salary. And, in a software team, people can get real touchy about that shit, especially when other people don't get raises or they don't get the raises they want, something like that. I I think that workers should unite to support each other.
Absolutely.
Uh, there has to be a realization, though, that some people are going to be pissed off if they find out that you're making more money than they are.
Yeah, but that
Sure.
shouldn't be against you, Dan.
It
That
should.
should be against. That's the company. That's the
Well,
company exploiting them. And for
I
listen,
mean, yeah. I mean, it's not. I don't know that it's necessarily exploiting them. You know, it's. I think in a lot of cases, sometimes people are getting exploited, but there's some people who think they're worth a lot more money than they are,
that's true.
and
And there's a lot of
Oh,
people
sure.
that are worth more money than they're making.
well, and so I will tell you. So this is an interesting thing. This is what I did the last time I was a boss. Uh, Before every employee's evaluation, I told them that they couldn't ask for a raise unless they went out and got another job offer. I wanted them to see what they were worth on the open market and then bring that back to me.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people didn't do it and I would still give them a raise. But sometimes people would do it and they would say, this is what I'm like, we can't match that. I think you should go. You're going to make more money in this place. And sometimes I would be like, that is what you're worth. We should pay you that to keep you here. Or, maybe we'll pay you just a little bit less because there's all the comforts of staying here and stuff like that. But those things, a very good and honest relationship between employer and employee is a good thing. I'm not 100% convinced that everybody benefits from sharing wages. That's my 2 cents. I could be wrong.
I think so. I think it's a good thing that people understand. I think that it
Dave,
will
you
address
work in an environment like this. You are very highly, I guess you're
Oh, yeah.
G15, right?
14.
G14? Okay. But what, you mind telling us what grade you are?
GS 14 step, I want to say 7 or 8.
Okay. So, I mean, that's an interesting thing. So that's, roughly off
And
the top of my head.
for transparency's sake, it's a year behind, but every federal employee's salary at above a certain level is public record.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was going to look it up real quick, but you can just tell me if you want to. Step 8.
And remember, it's
GS
by geographic
14
location,
step 8 is $170,000 according
roughly.
to
Yeah.
the U.S. thing. It is interesting to be in a place where that is all maintained and it's public, and that's just what it is.
One thing I will tell you, and we do need to move on here in a moment.
Yeah, we got to get the quiz in.
Yeah, is that what it does is that it removes that salary argument. Really, like people know what their salary is, and to get a higher salary, either you get your cost of living adjustment, but you either go up a step,
Right.
or you get a new job at a higher GS level.
Well, and that is an interesting thing, is that if you say every step has a salary associated to it, and then what people's steps are, and you make that public knowledge, that's an interesting thing. But it is, I mean, the federal government suffers from this in that a lot of times it's impossible to promote people who you'd like to.
Yeah, it
Keep around
depends.
and
I
pay them
mean,
money.
it depends. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just think about it like in the top level of wages. Certain obviously we're IT guys, but there's a lot of people who can make a lot more money in private practice. But all right, let's do the quiz.
So, Drew, talk about the U.S. Pirates and how to find out information for you. I got that.
Yeah, I mean, the best way to get more information is to go to uspirates.org and check us out. We've got you can also check out wiki.uspirates.org. There's a link off of uspirates.org to the wiki. That's where a lot of our more detailed stuff is on the wiki. We alternate between YouTube streams for our weekly meetings and IRC. This week was an IRC week, so next week will be an online stream that you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, U.S. Pirate Party YouTube channel, and see our streams. We are streaming some other things occasionally. Sometimes just some meetings But honestly, the best way to get involved is to go to uspirates.org/join and get connected to the Discord server. That is where by far the most activity is, and you can get organized with pirates in your area. We have sections for all states on the Discord server.
I see that West Virginia is getting close to.
West Virginia is close. Florida is close. Florida actually looks like they're going to be going next week.
Nice.
Probably going to be incorporated next week. We have people in Delaware and New Jersey that are getting things going as well right now, and there's a handful of people in New York that we need to start getting them organized.
Awesome.
So yeah, we're poised to maybe double the number of organized states here pretty rapidly. So
that's awesome. So one thing I will say, if you are in a state that you want to see Vermin Supreme on your ballot, there are traditional ways to get Vermin on the ballot. Doing petition signatures and all that stuff, but also look at your state's write-in laws. And a lot of times, it's a lot easier to get them on as a write-in candidate. And that way, you can write in Vermin Supreme's name, and it actually counts.
mhm.
So, just a word of advice: check it out. I think that probably would be something we need to do here in West Virginia to get him on the ballot. But go check out uspirates.org/join and
Yep.
And
do
despite
the stuff.
And despite the fact that this is more of an informational and a promotional campaign, we are exploring ballot access. We'll see what comes out of it. But we are going down that road. So if there are people that want to get involved with that and want to try and work on getting Vermin on a ballot somewhere, we are open to it. So
awesome.
Yeah.
All right, you ready for the CNN news quiz?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
I am a little bit out of touch this week, but I'll try.
That's fine.
I'm also out of touch. Fortunately, Dave reads Vogue weekly.
I do. When I'm in the bathroom.
Good news source.
All right, sharing. Okay, remember it's the CNN weekly news quiz for June 13th, 2024. So everything that happened from Thursday to Thursday in the news is in this quiz. Let's get us on the side here. All right, let's check out our context clues. It looks like a Korean officer.
I agree.
Looks like fine dining. And looks like water.
That's
so those are context clues.
That's no bueno.
Yeah. All right. Question number 1. World leaders gathered in which country for the annual G7 summit? Canada, Italy, Japan, or Germany?
Oh, this is where being out of touch kind of hurts. I honestly don't know. I usually know where the G7 is meeting, but honestly, right now, I don't.
Thought it was Germany, but it might be Italy. I know it's not Canada or Japan.
I want to say it's Italy, because they went to the Vatican. They met with the Vatican and
right, 100%. You're right.
With Giorgia Meloni.
Right, and then Joe Biden had that inappropriate
Joe Biden has
to the Pope.
Joe Biden.
Exactly.
Yep. Janice gets Italy, and that's correct. The world leaders of the world's most powerful economies convened in Italy for a crucial policy discussions. Support for Ukraine and its ongoing war with Russia are key topics of the meeting this year.
They're going to give them $50 billion of frozen Russian assets.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, it's a loan.
Oh yeah, they're gonna. Aren't they? I thought they were confiscating the.
So basically, what it is they're doing a loan. Ukraine's going to have to pay it back, but it's backed by Russian frozen assets. So
the interest on that,
Russia, right? Came back and played nice and got out of sanctions, then those assets would be unfrozen. But I don't think that's going to happen either. So All right. Question number 2. Which company unveiled new artificial intelligence upgrades for its products this week? Apple, Samsung, Microsoft, or Dell?
No, this I know it's Apple.
Yeah, Apple did add some stuff, and Microsoft's has been terrible. But I think it is Apple, yeah.
Yep. Apple introduced the suite of AI capabilities known as Apple Intelligence. The company also announced a partnership with OpenAI that will integrate ChatGPT in many Apple devices.
I'm
I've
sure
already
you
had
saw
ChatGPT on my device for a while, so
Google had an enormous AI failure where somebody asked it how much glue you should have in pizza, and it said about a quarter cup.
Yeah.
a little chewy.
Google's is not right.
So,
Yeah. Don't ask Google how to commit suicide. It will be wrong.
well, we're gonna get censored because we even said the word.
Oh yeah, sorry. Well,
That's all right.
It's too late.
My
We're
bad.
good.
That's okay.
All right. Question number 3. Which member of the Biden family was convicted on felony charges this week?
I know
James,
this
Jill, Naomi, or Hunter?
It's
I
Hunter.
mean, we don't have to wait on this.
That's Hunter.
Yep.
Hunter federal jury found Hunter Biden guilty Tuesday on all 3 federal gun charges he faced, concluding that he violated laws.
I'm going to say the same thing about this that I said about the New York conviction.
It's the same crime essentially.
This is a crime that most libertarians, and I'll use the small L word, don't think should be a crime.
Yeah, I mean this one.
I think it's a Fifth Amendment violation that you have to
Disclose it. Yeah,
disclose that.
100%.
Absolutely.
And a Second Amendment as well.
Yep. All right. Question number 4. Which state was hammered by heavy rain and life-threatening floods this week? California, Colorado, Florida, or Vermont?
Florida.
It was Florida.
You know,
Poor guys in Florida always get the worst weather.
the things that I always think about is that how easy it is to make a pitch for a good idea and have people give you way too much money. And I've often thought, you know what you do? I'm going to make a pitch that says, I'm going to start collecting water from flood places and transporting it to drought places. We'll make millions.
Yeah. So this question: when does Joe Biden get slapped down with federal felonies if he loses in 2024? I think that's coming pretty quickly.
Let's talk a little bit though about the difference. So I said, okay, we compared Trump and Biden and said, we both think they're not necessarily criminals, or at least I think those.
Well, I mean, I think
crimes.
Trump's a criminal, but
Trump's
probably
a criminal.
Yeah.
Or for other things.
These things are crimes that libertarians generally don't think really should be crimes. However, if you look at the way that they reacted to it, right, there's no comparison.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Biden essentially said,
I think Biden did himself
no pardon,
really,
no commutation. We accept the verdict, etc.
He did himself solid by doing that.
Exactly.
I mean, he's not going to get the Trumpers to come around on him, but I think it helped with swing voters,
exactly,
independent,
right, as opposed to Trump's completely different.
Yeah. All right. Question number 5. Which airline has offered $10,000 in compensation to passengers injured by severe turbulence? British Airways, Spirit Airlines. Yeah, whatever.
Can't be Spirit.
Singapore Airlines.
Spirit, if you experience turbulence,
they're going to charge you
$500 premium.
Yeah, you get charged extra for that.
Exactly.
I don't know. This is why I'm not a touch on this one.
I'm thinking it's Singapore, but we'll wait for the audience on this one because I think it's Singapore.
I think it's Singapore as well.
Or British Air. It might have been British Airways because there was a pretty nasty turbulence episode where I think a person was killed.
Oh
wow!
That's how bad it was, and they dropped I think 1,000 feet.
Wow.
In their flight. So
I just want to point out to Dr. Moulton's thing.
Dave Valente Airways.
Yep.
We love to fart and it shows.
Dr. Moulton talking about a water pipeline. I do think something like that is coming at some point in time. because water is going to be a scarce resource. However, I also think desalinization is really going to.
We
Step
have to
up
get
relative to-
desalinization on the
You
Go.
know, fans of the show know that I was living on a boat in Barbados 4 weeks ago. We drank nothing but desalinated water, and it was perfectly awesome and tasty. And we generated all that we needed from solar power.
still had
So-
fish piss in it though.
It can be done. Janice says
Yes.
Singapore.
Singapore.
Let's
All
go
right, we're
with
going
that.
Singapore.
Sure.
Correct. Singapore Airlines has offered $10,000
Yes.
in compensation to passengers hurt last month during a flight that encountered severe turbulence. Other
That's really
passengers who
bad.
sustained more serious injuries offered $25,000.
That's tough.
That's probably just to avoid lawsuits.
You know,
Yeah, I'm sure you have to sign something to
Yeah.
get that money, but
that being said, you have your seatbelt on all the time that you don't need to have it off when you're on an airplane. Don't be stupid, people.
all right, question number 6. Which facilities in the U.S. have been targeted by hackers and cyber criminals in recent weeks? That looks like a Microsoft symbol back there.
It does.
Hotels, hospitals, restaurants, or malls?
There's not
Not
any
gonna-
malls left.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Why would they target malls? There's no money there.
No.
Oh, come on. You know, the
I mean,
Spencer's is still...
Hackers target all those things all the time. Like,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
anybody that's into IT knows that there's endless attacks on pretty much
Mike-
everything.
My gut feeling is that the hospitals have been dealing with HIPAA for so long that this would be pretty late in the game for hackers to be targeting them. So I think it's probably restaurants. I mean, I'm just thinking about what is the order progression.
Well,
don't
hotels
know.
do have open Wi-Fi,
Yeah. Oh, that's an interesting point too.
so maybe
Um,
that's. I don't know. I don't. Again, this is another one. I don't really know the answer.
I don't either.
Yeah, it
Um,
really is
alright.
all the above. But
Yeah, I think Dave,
Yeah.
you choose between hotels and restaurants.
I'm going to go restaurants. I think that's a
Okay.
fertile ground.
that's private equity, Dave. Private equity has been screwing restaurants.
God, yes.
But you know, McDonald's and all those other places have huge
Oh,
networks. So
hospitals.
It was
it
hospitals.
is hospitals. That's crazy.
No, you're right. It was a Microsoft. It was a Microsoft banner there.
Oh, well, yeah, America's rural hospitals. That makes more sense. Keep
Oh, it
getting
does
attacked
make
by
more
cyber
sense.
criminals. Microsoft and Google announced they will offer free or discounted cybersecurity services to some hospitals to prevent disruption to patient care. Yes, I'll also
There's
missed
a
that
lot
as
of-
well. I mean,
There's a lot
I
of
don't know.
basics that can fix that probably.
Yeah.
Don't open ransomware.
Honestly, move. To
I'm
open
surprised
source
it doesn't
systems.
work more. Ransomware?
Yeah, some of those phishing emails are pretty slick.
Yeah, they are. All right, question number 7. What is the acronym for the United States Disaster Relief Agency? NCIS, FDIC, USDA, or FEMA?
And first of all, I don't want to say that they've been a disaster. But it's clearly FEMA. You're doing a hell of a job, Brownie.
Question. I'm sorry. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, is the nation's disaster relief agency. Climate experts expect FEMA will run out of money before the 2024 hurricane season is over due to severe costly weather disasters this
Nope.
year.
Now, technically, the federal government cannot run out of money. They're like the monopoly bank. They can't run out of money.
Yeah.
I mean, they can go over budget, but they can't run out of money.
Oh, they certainly can go over budget. We
Mhm.
do that every year. Question number 8. Which Disney ride is being replaced after facing years of criticism? Space Mountain, Splash Mountain, The Haunted Mansion, or It's a Small World?
I'd probably
It's got to
go
be.
with
It's a small world.
It's got to
That
be. It's a
fucking
small
ride.
world. That's what
I
I'm
hate
going
that
with.
shit. I agree.
You don't want to hear that
I
song
think
on a
that's the
loop?
most. That's no.
There's so
no,
much
thank you.
that we share, and it's time we're aware. Sorry, I'll stop.
No, thank you. That's
Oh, no. Splash Mountain.
No. What? What's wrong with Splash Mountain? I haven't been to Disney World in forever, so
Yeah, so we've had two massive conventions in Orlando,
Yeah,
and I spent like a week and a half in Orlando both times and never stepped foot in Disney.
it's
But
funny.
yeah, ride based on the story of the pirate's first black princess opens to
Oh,
the
it's
public
based
this
off of the
week.
Song of the South, Uncle
Uh,
Remus and Brer Rabbit and all that stuff.
well, no,
Good.
no.
I'm
no,
not
no, no. It
surprised.
says the ride based on the story of Disney's first black princess opens to the public this month.
No, it replaces it.
So,
But Florida Pirate Party wrote in the comments that it's based off a Song of the South, and I
Splash
trust
Mountain is
Florida
okay.
Pirate Party to know that.
wow,
It's
I did not
interesting
know that.
too that Orlando. It's funny. 2016, we had a group of people who were planning to go down to protest at SeaWorld because
Because it was right across the street.
exactly, and because among my other crazy causes is cetaceans shouldn't be imprisoned. But they beat us to it, and they stopped
They start releasing them. Yeah.
started releasing them, so we didn't protest
And they released them right into the Florida waters, so now we got invasive species.
them.
All right. Question number 9. Which awards honor culinary achievement in the United States? The Booker Prize, the James Beard Awards, the Golden Raspberry Awards, or Fields Medal?
Do you remember what the Fields Medal is for? We know that's not it.
Yeah, I don't know what that one's for, but I know the
It
answer.
features in Goodwill Hunting. James Skarsgård, yeah, Jake's got it, but James Skarsgård's
James
character.
Beard Awards. That's awesome. Like that flavor saver in the food in my beard. That's
Exactly.
awesome.
I agree.
I like that.
Yeah, Dr. Moulton's got it right. Fields Medal is for math. It's given out only once every 4 years. It is more distinguished than a Nobel Prize.
All right. Question number 10. K-pop star Jin, single name, Brazilian soccer star, was greeted by fanfare this week after he finished his mandatory army service in South Korea. Which boy band is he a member of? Oh, I'm done on this one.
Wow, I don't know this.
I mean,
I think
It's
BTS.
the only one I know is
it's
BTS.
got to be BTS.
BTS
right?
is the only one that I know too, but I have no idea.
Yeah, it's got to be BTS.
All right, let's do BTS. Correct.
Oh,
Yay.
good.
Oldest member of the K-pop phenomena, BTS, was discharged from the Korean Army on a Wednesday after serving 18 months of mandatory duty. Which recently we've heard that the military plans to expand, or at least there's a Senate vote in a committee to expand selective service to women, which caused a lot of
I think it should just be
consternation.
abolished.
I know, like instead of complaining that it's being expanded to women, why don't we just abolish it at this point? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, if we're gonna make people sign up and hold that hold federal government benefits hostage by not signing, if you don't sign up, then everybody should probably have to sign up. But I think the whole process should be completely abolished because I'm not into I don't like the press gangs. I mean,
exactly, and conscription entirely. Now the thing about it is that
just another form of slavery.
Yep, exactly. It will take a constitutional amendment.
But I also think that the
conscription is written into the Constitution.
Yeah, I also think that
that's a
lot of the
trying to unify us on.
The complaints that I heard this week about, we can't have women join, being part of the. I think that it's just continuation of the infantilization of women that they can't possibly serve in war. Like,
well, I mean,
I don't want conscription by any stretch of the imagination, and I think that the selective service should be abolished. But why attack it just from the fact that we're going to add women to it?
Yeah, no, it's completely stupid, and it's especially completely stupid because there are countries out there that do have women serve in their armed forces, and clearly they can be very effective. More than that, infantry is only one part of the battlefield,
and most countries that do have mandatory service don't make it's not just military service that you have to do. You do a variety of different. You can do like a FEMA type thing, or you can do other national service rather than just being warfighters. So, all
I
right.
think
Well, we
any
got 8 out of 10.
yeah, I just think any kind of mandatory service period is it's just not. I think that's just not cool. So
No, it's not, and we are well past time where we need to stop uh, doing this practice. It just, the military has said time and again that they're much happier with an all volunteer force than
Yeah.
I think that's the
than
best way to tell those people that are sending young men and women to die that the people don't want to be involved if they can't
yeah,
get volunteers to fill out the ranks of the
yeah.
army.
And if they can't, then we can start sending congressmen.
Now,
I mean,
I'd be all for seeing those kinds of death matches.
hey,
Mhm.
seeing
And
Marjorie
then
Taylor
pay-per-view.
Greene coming
Yeah.
in,
Oh my
there a
God.
couple of
Well, didn't
Iranians. I
didn't
mean,
she just have a big fight with somebody in there they were
oh, and the I can't remember what her name is. I think she's a Houston area congresswoman.
another congresswoman, right? They were like
Yeah,
they were
and she called
going
her
pretty
like a
hardcore
bad
at it.
built, big
Yeah.
body bitch or something like
Right.
that. Like just
Right.
fucking roast. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
Marjorie Taylor Greene made a comment about her fake eyelashes, and she
Yeah.
just nuked her. Like,
Yeah, because she asked the chairperson if it would be okay if she called her a because the chairperson they were going back and forth, and then she's like, okay, well, I'll just weaponize this. And
yeah,
Yeah. It was awesome.
it was awesome.
yeah, that was
But yeah.
that was pretty awesome.
All right. Well, Drew, thank you so much for joining us this week. I really appreciate
agree.
it. I love the Pirate Party. I love what you guys are doing and what you're building, and wish you nothing but success in going for it. Again, if you want to get information on the U.S. Pirate Party, head over to uspirates.org/join. They've got all the links to all the things, so you can join them on Twix or Facebook or Discord, all the good stuff. So.
Discord's the big one. Get involved on the Discord. Get in on the intro thread. Introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from, and then we'll get you hooked up with pirates local to you. And
Sounds good.
And hopefully we'll build this out and continue creating new affiliates in different states and just keep it going. So
There you go.
Sounds
All right.
awesome.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us this week. Reminder: give us a like, share, subscribe, whatever chat platform you're on. Really helps us out, boosts the algorithm, all that fun stuff.
Yeah,
So,
guys, the numbers are starting to look good, but we need them to
Yeah.
look better so this message reaches more people.
and also, thank you so much to the members of the Pirate Party who joined us in the chat tonight. That
Yeah.
definitely a lively chat.
Come back. Don't
Lots
be
of
such strangers.
yeah,
Yep.
lots of good feedback and stuff, information presented there. So, thank
Yeah,
you. Oh,
just-
Jasmine Crockett was the congresswoman in question.
Right.
Oh,
Right. Thank
right.
you, Jake.
Yeah, and to all those pirates out there, like if you're with our meeting at 9, we're usually done by the time this show comes on Sundays. So
Yeah.
you should be able to make it. I oftentimes will chime in on the
Yeah,
in the,
he does.
In the chat. So yeah,
Awesome.
Come on
good
down.
stuff.
All right.
So,
Thanks, everybody. AJ's computer died. That's where she went. Nothing bad.
yeah.
And
Yep.
she'll, of course, be back next week. All right. Say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie. We'll talk to you all next week.
And vote pirate.
There you go.